Hey everybody, it's Melissa. Night 3 of doing lives, aka live number 3. So tonight, I'm going to take this one that I've done before, maybe on a live, I can't really remember. I'm going to clean it off because even though it won't smear, again, it's water soluble. So, and then I'm going to do some layering. I've been doing several projects today. Again, my show this weekend that I'm participating in, and layering and I have not been the best of friends today, so we're going to see how that turns out tonight. Hopefully better than the rest of today has been. So I'm going to take the vintage truck. My poor vintage truck, as you can tell, is like falling off the backing. It's been used seriously probably at least 30 times. So I'm going to see if it still has life in it. And then I'm going to use the plaid layer, which is, again, part of the brand new winter one. And super adorable. And then I'm going to stick the tree in the back. So again, this has layers on it, so it'll end up with a little bit of snow at the end. All right. So what I have is I have the Harvest Fest, and I sprayed it with some water. Again, it kind of helps if you just let it soak in a little bit. But since it's water-based, give it a couple seconds, let it soak in, and then it just wipes right off of most of your hard surfaces. You know, by this point, you guys probably have it memorized as well as I do. Yes, I have a mess. A mess everywhere. So I might get to show you something a little different here if I can find my eraser, my board eraser. Make sure I've got this really clean here. Oh, no, I think it's actually going to come out. So sometimes on certain chalkboards, although I don't typically on the Chalk Couture boards, you can get ghosting, which just means that the design that you had on there, you can still sort of see, it's not color remnant, but it's just sort of where the design sticks in there. Like, I don't know if you can kind of see in the light here, sort of see here where the word's a little bit left. And I was thinking I might get to show you with, so if you use like a magic eraser, or Chalk Couture actually has their own. And oh, on a note for that, if you purchase the erasers in October, they are donating $1 of that to the Watts of Love, which provides solar lights to third world countries so that they can obviously see and be able to do work and such. And they're a lot safer because they don't burn off oil, and so a lot less likelihood that a family would start a fire in their home. So it's a really good, I posted it on my page a few times, but it's a really good organization that Chalk Couture has partnered with for fundraising and charity. Okay, but I can't show you the eraser because it did a pretty good job. So I don't really need it. Okay. So with a vintage truck, again, it's a layered one, so you start with the bottom layer. Ooh, I'm hoping it fits on this board. It's a little snug. We'll see how it goes. This one's more just to do a project, not anything that I plan to sell, so if I mess it up a little bit, we'll survive. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the red. What do they call this one? This is candy apple red, and this is the new red. And this one came very, very fresh, so I'm trying to be really gentle with it. I wouldn't worry about it too much if I were using a relatively new transfer, but again, I'm trying to get all the life I can out of this vintage truck, so it's not my stickiest transfer anymore. But it's amazing how many times it survived being used. And it was one of the first ones I did, so I'm surprised it's still around. Okay. Yay! Still working. I did get a little bit on the edge here. You just wipe it off. I think that's all I'm using the red for, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. And I'm going to dry, as always. It is, well, it's pretty dry. I have green fingers from other projects today. Yeah, I could probably use a little bit more. The plaid layer that I'm going to put on next is, I think I've only used it once, so it's a pretty sticky one, which means I'm going to take it over here. And this one is going to get some good fuzzing up because I'm worried that since it's super sticky and I haven't dried this fully, that it could lift some of that. Now again, I know I talk about that and I give you all the tips and tricks on how to like prevent certain things from happening. These things wouldn't happen to me if I weren't doing a live and I was giving it the appropriate time to dry. So they're not that finicky. It's just when I'm doing a live, I'm trying to get things done for you guys as quickly as I can. And so I take some shortcuts. Okay. So hopefully that is sticky enough, or de-stickied enough, if we want to call it that. And so I'm going to line up the tires here. That looks good. Still kind of sticky. Hopefully this works out for me. I'm going to take black for the plaid. And just going to kind of start down here and run that down. I'm being a little messy with this one, but it doesn't really matter. Get off whatever excess I can. And yeah, I do that to save on the paste, but honestly, it makes cleaning it so much easier. Oh, it is going to lift on me. Not too bad. Yeah, not too bad at all. And I think that was more from it starting to dry here than anything else going on. So just stick that in the water until I'm done. Okay. Again, I'm going to dry. One of the things that I find kind of fun or interesting about the vintage truck is that because it's a vintage truck, sometimes when it lifts, it actually makes it just look more vintagey. And I can't say that about all transfers, but I've seen some really cute vintage trucks that actually looked better because little bits and pieces kind of pulled up. Now the transfer is built to kind of do that for you as well, the design of it, but just makes it look better. I'm going to do gray for the outline. We'll see how well this turns out. I was kind of debating what color I would use, but make sure I get the little tail, the little hitch back there. And for those who may not be super familiar, that the vintage truck and then there's the vintage camper are actually made specifically to go together. And so this little hitch back here that's on the vintage truck lines up perfectly with the hitch on the trailer. And so you can make full-on signs that have them both on them. Oh yeah. Woo-hoo. Wasn't sure about that one, but oh, I just stuck my finger in it. But other than that, I like how that came out. And again, I'm having a bad habit tonight of hitting this edge here, but it fixes easily. Better if I don't use a dirty paper towel. So that's the truck itself. Sorry, I'm like admiring it. I'm like, I really like that. So I'm going to dry this and then I'm going to do the tree in the back. Okay. Now I did focus a lot on the back here, and that's because the tree, well, this is the only part the tree is going to go on, and the tree is a brand new transfer that I haven't used yet. So I just want to make sure that was dry. And then I see that I didn't, like I must have had a bubble in here that I didn't notice when I first started. It's not that big a deal. I don't know if you can really, if anybody would tell, but if you can kind of see like over in this area. You could probably leave it. It wouldn't be that big a deal. Sometimes I have a friend who like freaks out when I say this, but I take the cotton off the end of a Q-tip, and once this dries, it's really easy to kind of clean up some of the open space areas because it just flakes off. And so now I've got that design all open again. Okay, so I've got the tree. This does come with the one that the plaid comes with, so the new 2018 winter one. There are 3 pieces. They are, they are numbered. And so this one right here in the corner says number 1, and as you can see, they've got the marks. I totally should know what they're called, and I forget, but this is number 2, and these marks will line right up. And unlike the other one that I didn't use those marks on because it was ink, I'll do that tonight and just kind of show how it works. So I like to stack them the other direction, so I have them all in order. Again, I am going to fuzz this. I prefer a bath towel. Oh, I did have, I can kind of see that harvest in there. Dang it. Wish I'd noticed that earlier. It looked good. Okay, so I'm going to stick the tree on here. And these items that come, the vintage truck, oh, I see an issue. The vintage truck add-ons come and they're made perfectly to fit in the back of the truck. However, while my truck fit on this board, my tree just barely goes over the tip here. Oh well. Again, it's just a project. So on this one, I'm using the bright green. And I always like to say what the current one is. So this one that I have is Emerald, but the current one is NB. And I'm just going to, it's super easy. So again, here's the registration mark. Ha! I remember stuff when I'm not thinking about it. That's how that goes. Registration marks. So that's the registration mark, and I am going to chalk over it, and that chalk will stay, and it just makes it easier to line up the next layer. And it's one of the kind of new enhancements that Chalk Couture has been making to the transfers, that and the numbering for the layers, and it's really nice. It makes it much easier to work with them. Okay. Again, stick that in my water bucket. I don't like to leave, some people say don't leave your transfers in the water ever. I don't like to leave them in there very long, so I'll clean them after every project, but I haven't had, again, my vintage truck, I do that with it all the time, and it's been used like 30 plus times. Okay, layer 1. Gonna fuzz up layer 2. I'll have to do a font on a live. I'm always trying to think of what lives I can do. So if anybody has ideas, just send me your ideas. But I should do a font because they have washi tape now that has registration marks on it as well. And the new fonts have the registration marks. And so it makes it so you get perfect placement now without having to put too much effort into measuring everything out. So it's really nice. Okay, layer 2 fuzzed up. I'm going to try and line up with my registration marks here. The side one's going to be, because it was kind of off the side, so it's going to be a little hard. There it is. The color I'm going to use on the second layer is not a big difference. So this is the garden herb. It's definitely a different green, but it's not a huge difference. And I kind of like it just to create the depth, but not, I don't know, to me it's not anything crazy. This one could use some water to improve the consistency. And again, as I've mentioned before, like if it is kind of thicker, it does make it dry out faster. So yeah, that started to dry on me, which isn't horrible because I'm going to do the snow layer on it. But typically what I should have done is just squirt some water and stir it up. And because I never show you guys, like I always try to just come prepared. I literally take my water bottle. That's all that's in here. I'll squirt it like this. And then I've got these little scoopy things that I've had for a while. Or you can get the new multi-tool from Chalk Couture. And if you see that edge right there, it fits under the edge of the jar perfectly. So you can scrape around the outsides and mix it up. But I'll finish that once I'm done here. So I'm going to dry this really quick. I think that'll be okay. My white should be okay here. It's been used and abused today in a few projects. So my white is almost out. But it doesn't take much for this layer. So this is the snow, so there's not much going on there. And again, it's just lining up the registration marks. Just have the small squeegee out. And you'll see these on the website. They come, this is like cut in 2/3. So it's just a long, skinny squeegee. And I like to get those, have some of those on hand and then just cut them up for my details. Okay. And there we go. We have the vintage truck with the plaid and the tree in the back. I guess you call it Christmas tree. I just think this one turns out so super cute. And took like 20 minutes, including all the drying. So thanks everybody. Have a good night. Bye.